Hey y'all, Sunday evening, it's about 8 o'clock or getting close to 8 o'clock. I'm sat on the porch. You got me a nice fire going. Just got done cooking over the fire actually. Some chicken and a little deer meat, and see what else I cook. Hot dogs for my kids. So had a good little dinner. Now I'm just sitting here out here enjoying the fire. A little cool outside, but nice by the fire. I'm actually burning cedar wood, and for those that's not familiar with cedar, it smells really good when it burns, and obviously it has a great flame to it, but produces a great flame. So I mean, it's a great campfire wood. I'm not sure if it's something you want to burn inside necessarily, but it does spark and pop a good bit. So that wouldn't be good for burning inside, I wouldn't think. You wouldn't want a spark or a piece of it to pop out and burn your carpet and cause a fire. But anyway, enjoying the fire out here. I want to thank everyone that viewed yesterday's video, talking about Shane and how much respect I have for him, and really just wanted to give him a word of encouragement because I felt like he needed it. I mentioned that in the comments, and he was very grateful for the video, and I meant every word of it. I told him for sure, and I just really felt God laying it on my heart to do a video to really encourage him, and I'm glad it did that because I meant it. Every word I said, I meant every word of it. But anyway, appreciate everybody for commenting and the nice compliments you made, and really thankful for that. And I think several people even talked about subscribing and that kind of thing, so I appreciate that too. But yeah, I did forget a few things I wish I would have put in the video yesterday talking about Shane. I know he lost his dad, if I'm not mistaken, a year or two ago. And me and my dad are extremely close, and I'm pretty sure Shane was as well, if I remember correctly from some of his comments on past videos. He had mentioned being close to his father, and obviously I heard him a lot when he passed away. But I imagine Shane, and especially me, learned our work ethic and having good character, from our fathers. Like I mentioned, I think it's important for us all as men, not only if we have kids, but just to show good character. That way, if there are other young men, especially out there watching us and really observing us, that we're showing that, so they can look at that as an example, and they can use that in their own lives, as they get older going forward, if they have families especially, and that kind of thing. So it's very important because, obviously we know all the problems associated with, society today, and a lot of it has to do with, the lack of, manly influences or fatherly influences, giving good advice and just being there, and that kind of thing. So it's very important for us men to stand up and be that positive influence for the younger generation, the younger men out there, just so they'll grow up with strong character and values and morals and that kind of thing. So eventually maybe society will turn to a more positive one over the years, but really starts here and now with us to help that happen. But anyway, y'all, I really wanted to do a video. I was having a little debate. My buddy Ray up the road in Sonoa, I think it's only like an hour away, but anyway, he's been doing videos for a long time, and I've been following his channel. Did a video talking about smaller versus bigger properties and which is better. And I think he prefers the bigger properties, and he's given some good reasons. But I'll be honest with you, I'm actually on the opposite end. I actually prefer the smaller properties, and I'll tell you, and I'll explain why that's the case. And ultimately, when it comes to this debate, in my opinion, I think we'll all agree that it's really more about the area you're in terms of, the yard types and the lots and that kind of thing. Or are you in a more country type area, city with a lot of open fields and not very, fairly sparsely populated, and, lot sizes ranging from, 2 to 5 acres or more, that kind of thing. Or are you in a more densely populated area, kind of like where I'm at, in Auburn, Opelika, where you have significant population and a lot of big neighborhoods with acre lots, which is primarily what I have. I do have some pretty big properties as well. Got an apartment complex I did a video on. Did a video at the other day. It's not a whole lot of acreage, but if you add it all together, it'd be about 5 acres. But there's a lot of edging and weed eating, so it's a big place. But yeah, I got some big properties, but primarily I have, like I said, acre lots. So one point I want to make before I get into it as to why I prefer the smaller properties is once you figure out the type of properties you want to service, and obviously a lot of times you don't have control over that. You just if the tops of yards are really big in your area, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to take care of. And if it's the opposite, kind of like how it is in my area, where you primarily have the smaller lot sizes and whatnot, then you can figure out the type of equipment you need. So I use I've got free bagging mowers, got 2 walkers and an X-Smart Navigator, which is basically the same concept. I actually prefer the walkers. I feel like they handle better and cut a little bit better. But anyway, the deck size is not as wide as the Laser Z's that I have, and I got 4 of those. I have 4 60-inch X-Smart Laser Z's that I use, and honestly, those are great for big properties, but they're also fine for the types of properties I primarily do, as far as the smaller lot sizes and whatnot. That's a good size, deck size for anybody to use, whether you're doing the big properties, like I said, or the small ones, But anyway, I mean, that's something that once you figure that out, if you're getting started, you need to think about, in terms of the equipment you may need, the type of mower and whatnot you may need, and, the size deck it needs to have, and that kind of stuff. Obviously going to be dependent on the properties that you're doing. But a couple things for me, and I think the first thing that I want to mention as far as why I prefer the smaller lot sizes, I also do treatments and fertilization. So most of the people in my area want that done. So whenever I approach a new customer and I'm able to let them know that I can be that one-stop shop, as far as I can provide the lawn maintenance and the treatments and the fertilization, that's a big selling point for me. And obviously I can make significant amount of money doing those things. I can literally pull up to one property in one of my Isuzu trucks that has a spray rig on it, and mow it, spray it, and fertilize it all in one. So I mean, that's a significant amount of money all in one yard, so if you're able to provide that service, I think that's ideal. And I've been doing that for a while now. So that's one of the main reasons why I prefer the smaller lot sizes, is because I do the fertilization, the lawn treatments, the pre-emergent. So that's a significant amount of potential revenue that you can earn. You can really make a lot of money doing that, guys. So if you've ever thought about doing that or adding that on to the services you provide other than lawn maintenance and mowing and whatnot, it's definitely something to look into. Just make sure you got your license, okay? Don't be out here spraying chemicals with no license. I think I've had a video of that. But anyway, make sure you get that before you decide to go ahead and do treatments and whatnot, because you got to have that. A state law requires it. At least it does in Alabama and Georgia. I'm almost certain every state does. But anyway, like I said, that's one reason why, because I do offer fertilization and weed control, pre-emergent treatments and whatnot. The second reason is if you focus on big properties, you're really not going to be able to take on as many properties overall, as opposed to if you focus on the smaller ones. Like for me, I only got one full-time guy, and I got some part-timers that help me. Probably need another full-time guy, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna see how it works this year. I got 3 part-timers lined up to help me throughout the year, so hopefully that'll work out. But for me, my thinking is the more customers you have, the more opportunity you're going to have for winter work. Okay, and something I do, and this isn't something I offer all the time. It's really dependent on how much I got going on, and obviously that's dependent on the time of year it is. So I do pressure washing. I put out straw. Let's see here, gutter clean, that kind of thing. But those are things that I prefer to do in the fall and the winter when I'm slow, because from April through September, I'm slammed with mowing and trimming bushes, and obviously the treatments and fertilizing, all that keeps me super busy. So if a customer approaches me and asks me about doing those things, a lot of times I'll just try to get them to hold off to the fall or the winter. When I slow down, I can do it. Otherwise, I know people that do pressure washing and landscapers that have skid steers. I don't do major landscaping work. I don't own a skid steer, so I don't do that. But I have friends in the industry around here that I recommend customers use if they need that work done. So think of that too. But yeah, that's another reason. Like I said, if you focus on bigger properties, you're just not going to have time to take on as many properties overall. And like I said, the more properties you have, the more opportunities for winter work you're going to have. And especially if you have people working for you, you got to have enough work in the winter to keep those guys busy. Okay. Because if you're not paying them enough in the winter, unless you're offering them a set amount each week, and obviously the weather can be bad a lot of times in the winter, and you get a lot of rain and cold and holidays and all that. So you got to make sure you're paying your guys, if you have employees, enough money throughout the year if you want to keep them happy. And if that's not the case, if you don't have enough customers, then that's not going to happen. They're just going to leave, and you're going to be out looking for somebody else the following year. And one thing about the big properties that I've learned over the years of having a lawn care business, bigger property owners, as soon as that grass starts growing, y'all, the majority of those people, they're going to be the first ones to tell you, see you next spring. So they won't have you do really anything, especially mowing, once that grass starts growing or stops growing until April again. So basically you'll mow those properties from April, maybe March through September, October, maybe do one cut in October. But after October, you're done. So you got to consider that. That's a big deal. I mean, if you want to have employees, and I do feel like you really need employees if you're going to make really good money doing this. It just gets to be hard. The older you get, obviously, the harder it's going to get on you physically. So really need those employees if you're going to make really good money, in my opinion. You can still make good money solo. But if you want to make great money, I feel like you need employees, even though they can be a hassle. We all know that. That's another video for another day. I've got some stories I can tell you. But anyway, consider that. So, like I said, I feel like the more properties you have, the more opportunities for winter work, which in turn helps when it comes to employee retention and being able to pay those employees throughout the year. So keep that in mind when it comes to that particular argument, smaller versus bigger properties. One more point I want to make. I'm trying not to make this video too long. Don't want to bore you too much, but anyway, I feel like I'm giving some pretty good information. In terms of the small versus big property debate or whatever, a third thing, I'm sure I'll miss some things out, but I think this would be a good one to end on. I think one thing you need to make sure you're doing, is something I probably didn't do a good job of in the past, mowing these bigger properties, especially when I first started out 20 years ago. Of course, I was young then. 20 years ago, I was around 18, so I basically started push mowing when I was 15. So I've been doing this for a long time. But when I started doing some of those big properties back in North Alabama, where I'm from originally, and this was more on me, and honestly, it's kind of continued through the years for the bigger properties, is make sure if you take on these big properties that you charge enough, that you get the pricing right, because I feel like that's something that I probably made a mistake on with the big properties, is I didn't charge enough. So a lot of times I felt like I would show up and, sit on the mower for several hours and not make near as much money as opposed to if I just mowed, 5 or 6 $50 yards all in the same neighborhood and, half the time, so I don't know. That's probably more me. Maybe I just wasn't pricing these bigger properties right. Like I said, y'all, I just feel like in my experience, it's been harder for me when it comes to these bigger yards to get people, customers, to want to pay the kind of money that you deserve for the time you're spending on these big properties and whatnot. So that's been kind of something that I think about, and I just feel like it's a lot easier to price these smaller properties. And if you get a bunch in one neighborhood or on the street, you got a line of them. I mean, you can knock out these cookie cutter yards, half-acre lots, and I charge a minimum of $50 now. So, you can knock out all these $50, $60 yards that take 15, 20 minutes and knock out several in a row and make a lot of money doing that. Like I said, for me, I can treat most of those and fertilize them, and they'll have plenty of winter opportunities potentially, doing pressure washing and gutter cleaning and all that kind of thing throughout the winter. So that's just something to consider, y'all. That's my thinking. That's my 2 cents. Like I said, my opinion, if you got a choice now, if you're in an area where that's all you got is bigger yards, bigger properties with, multiple acres, and that's all you got, well, that's what you got. So that's what you got to take on. But if you have a choice, I just feel like there's way more positives when it comes to taking care of the smaller yards. And I hope I made some good points in the video in terms of explaining why I prefer to choose the smaller properties. And that works for me. Like I said, I've been in this industry for a long time, so that's what I've learned over the years that works for me best is the smaller yards. I feel like I just make more money doing those, and I can offer the different services I provide to make more money with the customers that I have. But anyway, y'all, hope that was informative. I feel like I'm getting better. I'm trying to, improve as far as communication and explaining things good. But I feel like I'm getting there. So hopefully I did a good job of that. And appreciate everybody tuning in and liking and subscribing. Feel free to do that if you want to. If not, it's no big deal either. But I'm mainly here just to inform people and help people. That's really what purpose of my videos, is to do. So I'm hoping I'm doing that, and hoping I can shed some light on some subjects you may have, questions about, and hope you'll take it and apply it to your business. And guys, hey, appreciate all of you. I hope you had a great weekend and have a great week next week and make a lot of money. Talk to you later.